cemetery. We'll begin with the pledge of allegiance.
All right, there's a bit of a lag on the screen. Coming. We definitely have a bit of a lag going on. Here we go. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America.
To the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Thank you. If we can have roll call, please.
Hey, Chair Rodriguez-Minden.
Present.
Commissioner Esser.
Here.
Commissioner Monet.
Yes.
Commissioner Tershore.
Present.
Commissioner Fakis.
Present.
Everybody's here.
A lot of candles. A lot of candles.
Item 3 on our agenda is public comment. With that.
Spoken public comments will be accepted during the meeting in person or remotely through Zoom. Public comments in person will be taken first, followed by speakers on Zoom. You will be called on by name to speak when it is your turn. If you wish to speak to the commission, please fill out a speaker slip located near the conference room door. If you have anything that you wish distributed to the commission and included in the official record, please hand it to the staff person for the Parks Department, who will distribute the information to the commission members and staff. For speakers on Zoom, please use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to speak for an item. When the chair calls on public comment, click on raise hand. Speakers will be notified shortly before they are called to speak. You will be provided ability to unmute your microphone and begin speaking. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes. No.
Taking it personally these days. Okay, thank you. We'll move forward with item 4, action to set the agenda and approve the April 2nd, 2026 meeting minutes. Those meeting minutes are in your packet. Do I have any discussion or corrections to those meeting minutes? I have a motion to for item 4.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, thank you, Chair. Your motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, which is our reports and presentations, and we have the San Mateo County Parks Foundation to give us an update. Wherever you're
Good afternoon, everybody. Michelle Beasley with the San Mateo County Parks Foundation. Before I get to the main stuff, we recently made a gift to the Parks Department for a number of things, but specifically for hazard tree removal at Coyote Point, and also we fund the summer interns at Memorial Park. So those were 2 of our spring gifts, but it's May. We have been doing tons of events. It has been very busy. Just this past Sunday, we had the first International Go to Forest Day event at Hutter Park. We had 2 sisters from Japan join us. Basically, it's called Shinrin Yoku, which is forestry, and it originated in Japan. They've had Greenery Day for many years, but this was the first time it went international. And so Hutter Park was one of the few U.S. sites. We had 40 people. It was very chilly and windy on Sunday. But people stayed pretty much for the whole 3 hours. It was really wonderful. We had a special tea ceremony at the end of it. So that was great. Tomorrow we have our monthly parents, babies, and toddlers meetup happening at Coyote Point. We're doing a special Mother's Day edition. We partner with the San Mateo County Libraries, and we're going to have a little photo shoot. So that, and we're getting like 25 plus people RSVPing. So very popular. We are doing a pole hiking demonstration and hike at Huddart Park for donors next Friday. And then on May 30th, we have 2 events. We're doing nature journaling at San Bruno Mountain with Sandy Chang, who was our artist for Fitzgerald Marine Reserve. We already did one with her at Edgewood Preserve, very popular. Our events sell out within 24 hours. They're all free. And then that same day, they still sell out. Be careful. And then also on May 30th, we're having our first audio silent book club at San Pedro Valley.
You have to explain that one.
I know, listen you. We're partnering with the Peninsula Book Collaborative, which is based in Daly City. And so we're doing a mix of silent book clubs and then audio silent book clubs, which apparently is a very popular thing. So I'm being exposed to it, but it's just a way for people to be together, but reading their books in a park. So we're going to be alternating between San Pedro Valley and San Bruno Mountain between May and October. So those are some of our events through the end of this month. So yeah, we're just really increasing our event offerings. And other than that, my board will be having a retreat on May 27th. We hope to make a final gift before the end of the fiscal year to the Parks Department. So that's what we're up to. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions from the council?
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Oh, any public comment, I guess, or public questions from the public?
Now calling on public comment for agenda item 5.1. No speaker slips for this item and no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Mateo. Thank you.
Quick aloha.
Okay, well, this is the exciting part of the meeting, which is our commission retreat session. And for that, we have a separate packet and agenda provided by our facilitator, Debbie. So at this point, I think I turn it over to Debbie.
All right, thank you, Irma. Well, I'm super excited to be here with you today and glad that it looks like we have a few extra minutes than we planned. So what we wanted to do today was to start to begin identifying your priorities as a commission and begin the development of a work plan for the next 18 months. So I think you all have the agenda in front of you. Before we get into that, I just wanted to go over some agreements. This is a tool that I like to use as a facilitator in most of my meetings, almost all of them, just to kind of set the tone for the day and make sure that everyone can participate effectively. So the first is I encourage you to listen for understanding. So a lot of times we're just kind of waiting for someone to stop talking so we can talk. But I encourage you to listen to each other for understanding and ask curious questions. It would be great if you could share the air. So we want to make space for everyone to participate and everyone to share their ideas. So just be conscious of how much or how little you are talking and try to kind of keep it balanced. Let the facilitator guide the process. So please let me do that. That's my role. But also part of my role is to be flexible and to let you all make the decisions. So if you feel like we are rushing something or needing to devote more time to something, just let me know and we can ask the group and be flexible. And then if you could put your technology, your phones on silent or vibrate, that would be great. So everybody good with these? Okay. Let's so we can see that. So as I said, as facilitator, my role is to guide the conversation. You all are going to be doing the hard work, the heavy lifting. You are the content experts and you'll be making any decisions or whatever we end up doing today. I'll review the agenda briefly. So in a minute, we're going to do a framing activity. Hopefully you all saw the pre-work that I asked you to do and that you were able to do that. And so we'll be using that as part of our framing activity just to learn about each other a little bit better and identify some shared values. And then we have a section where we will review the role and mission of your commission. We'll hear a little bit of context around funding and priorities from the county, and also talk a little bit about prior year accomplishments and learnings. And all of that is kind of to set you up for talking about, or thinking about and talking about your priorities, which I hope will be the bulk of what we're going to do today. We'll do some brainstorming on priorities and kind of see how far we get with that. The idea is that you'll have another session in June where you can do more work on priority setting and actually developing a work plan. So we'll see how far we get today. We'll wrap up just before 5:30 and identify next steps and maybe a partial agenda for your next meeting in June. So how's that all sound? Good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. All right. So as I said, we're going to do a framing activity. And this is going to be around your motivations for being on the commission and your values. So what I would like to do, we'll go around the table with commissioners and have you share briefly, just in a sentence, why you joined the commission, a sentence or two, and then share the individual values that relate to your work as a commissioner that it sounds like you did for pre-work. And so I'm going to capture those on the whiteboard, and then we'll kind of look at them at the end. Sounds good? Okay, and you brought some dry erase here, so use those.
I have a color for everything.
All right.
Right, there you go.
Okay, so who would like to start?
So to clarify,
Yes.
you want a one sentence of why we're on the commission and our list of values in one chunk, or are we gonna go around twice?
No, we'll just go around once for efficiency. Yeah. And for each value also you can give a sentence, like why it's a value. Not a big long story, but a sentence. Might be hard. So who would like to try to model that first?
I'll go.
Okay,
All right.
thanks, Paul.
Yeah, why I joined the commission, honestly, I wanted to get out more in the community, and I felt like kind of in my professional experience, I had enough context where I could hopefully contribute something meaningful to the San Mateo County Parks Department. And yeah, just in general, I consider myself somebody who wants to steward natural lands. So that's kind of the reason why. And then I guess we're going on to the step one, what our values are, or
Yeah.
so do you want me to list, it said list 5 to 7?
This is your priority ones, kind of step 2, so.
Oh,
You
step
did
2,
that
okay,
part,
cool,
yeah.
yeah, no problem, I did that too. So I think the first one that I did in step 2 was stewardship. That was just a value. And I guess that just comes from, we all want to make sure that the world is better for the people who come after us, so we all need to be stewards. And then objectivity, I guess transparency as well. Kind of live in our own reality. So it's good to take a step back every now and then and think on the facts and be objective about things. And then the last one I did was just community access, because that's kind of what the Parks Department is all about, is trying to have everybody enjoy the natural lands that we're preserving for the whole community.
Great. And I heard you say transparency also. Do you want it just to be objective?
Yeah, I think objectivity dash transparency, it does it well.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Those two things go hand in hand.
Thank you. Great, thank you. All right, who's next?
I'll go next with number 2, right?
Yeah, do the newer.
Oh, so why I joined the commission? I just like sitting on commissions. So my I recognized, I guess, with getting the multi-value or the multi-use value of parks, and what my background could contribute there. And hopefully I can get that out of the can, so to say, and into the group and into the community. It's not only recreation, but I see the value of the parks being all work. It is really fun. mental health to physical health, and social health to societal health. So that's fantastic, and hopefully we can get talking. That's my motivation to hopefully bring that to the group. I wrote down the 7. I hadn't boiled it down. I kind of go like, oh, I think Paul is reading my notes. Stewardship, absolutely. Having a environmental science background, it's definitely something that's important to make sure that pretty much leave the place cleaner than how you found it. I think it sums up environmental science in general. Very simple. The other one is for me sustainability. Again, from an environmental point of view. And then I have also community and accessibility.
Community and accessibility.
Oh yeah, I think it's both. I mean, you cannot have a community that can't access. I think it's like mutually not exclusive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit like the same as subjectivity and transparency.
Yeah.
You cannot be transparent and then lie about it. It's not transparent.
Great. Great.
Do I need? And so the other one was sustainability.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
I guess we're gonna go like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
Just
looks
go
like that's the path.
around the circle, so.
Yeah.
This is my 9th year. So 9 years today, because May 2017 is when I was sworn in, so. Hopefully we can, for, I don't know how much longer I can stay on this commission, but, it was always the objective to stay, I've outstayed my stay, actually. If I can stay 10 years, that's gonna be great. That'll be, God willing, another year from now. So I'm the prodigal, seasoned vet on this commission. I think when my supervisor in my area, you ask a lot of these questions and what they're pertinent, what they are correlating with. Supervisor David Canepa, who won in 2017, had been pondering as he knew he was gaining steam and gaining strength, and he'd been a commissioner on a lot of commissions, and he'd been a city council member. He'd asked me, hey, we've known each other for a long time. You were born and raised in San Francisco, and then you spent like the second half of your life in San Mateo County in David City. How would you like to serve on the commission? Because I've always, grew up in the city, went to schools in the city, and enjoyed a lot of parks in the city and sports from the park and rec aspect. He said, would you consider if I, brought this to your attention? I said, heck yeah, like let's roll with it. And then he kind of told me about parks, and I won't say I was excited like through the moon at first, but when he explained it and said, this is what you're learning, and this is just some of the potential applications that you would apply yourself to getting acquainted with the several county parks. So I said, yeah, I'm always one to ponder and inquire about things. So I said, you know what, why not? Yeah. I'd love to. I'd be honored to serve. So thus far in my 9 years that I've been on this commission, it's been, and even if I left tomorrow, it's been an absolute pleasure giving time from all the past leaders that we've had to the current leaders that we had. And what I've learned in the 9 years, never in my right mind would I've thought of joining a commission until I was motivated to. And now I think there's got to be some accountability if you're gonna. And I don't think it's on there as a bullet point, but if you're to be on a commission, you have to be accountable of knowing, hey, I'm just not going to be dopey and just join a commission and know nothing about it. So you have to know something. When you dive into the swimming pool, you got to know how to swim, not just I'm going to call for a lifeguard because I need help myself.
Right.
So you gotta know what you're jumping into.
Yeah, so I'm hearing you say the learning was initially, but also being accountable and doing something.
Yeah, because my background is, you know, I'm a union person, I'm a community advocate, I've been all about community and the fact that parks are, you know, folks, my colleague here on the commission, maybe we're looking at the same, you know, genie lamp, because I too believe that everyone has access to parks.
Yeah.
Rich, poor, middle
Okay.
class, wealthy, whatever creed you are, whatever background you come from, everyone has the right to access parks. And being that community person that I am from even childhood and wanting to bring people together and say, wow, I'm glad I came to Coyote Point. I'm glad I came to Fitzgerald Marine. I'm glad I went to San Bruno Mountains.
Thank you.
You know,
So that leads into the values, I think.
yeah, so stewardship is definitely you know, on the priority list. Community accessibility, being able to, and that's kind of 1 and 1A. Stewardship is like the priority, and then community accessibility, because from an early age, I think the youth should be able to, and there's a lot of schools and a lot of youth population wise that live within San Mateo County that don't visit our parks. And so it's only fair, whether transportation is an issue, whether you can't get there, whether you want to throw a kid's birthday party, whether you just want to see the water and the planes take off, just all those compile into one. And if you like hiking, if you like nature, you go out to San Andreas Trail, San Bruno, and goes all the way to
Lots
Sawyer
of
Camp.
opportunities. I hear your
Yeah.
passion, excitement, so thank you.
So I think all of those just in just one big pistachio or one peanut shell, all kind of, you know, label who I am being a commissioner currently, and what I bring to the table. And I hope I've kind of given a synopsis in a nutshell. You know, hopefully that helps you.
Thank you. That for sure. And it helps you all. Thank you. All right, Brooks?
Yeah, why am I here? Okay. Well, I serve on the North Fair Oaks Community Council as well as the Sam Trans Board of Directors. Between those two jobs, pressed upon the importance of San Mateo County is getting more and more densely. I think that creates a real need for open space for people to get away and just kind of leave the congestions and the crowd of the county. It's going to get more crowded. It's more housing. So taking those two things together and just having a real interest in open space. I got on the mission. In terms of values, and these are kind of personal values, and also those that I think are kind of applicable to commission, economy and efficiency. And I say that in the context of my work at Sam Transport, trying to meet our users with the resources that we have and be efficient as we possibly can. Access obviously is important. I also serve on the board of the Holbrook Palmer Park Foundation. Rather well-to-do community. One of the things that I've impressed upon our board members is that the park is for everyone, Atherton residents as well as people in the surrounding communities, and they've been really good about that. All of our programs are very open to the surrounding area. Equity, I think my work on the community council, just making sure that all the needs of a very diverse community. Awareness, I think, is an issue for us too. I really wonder how many people are actually aware of I wasn't aware of the vastness of our park system and the different areas that we have and that kind of thing. Kind of an example of how I've done that is when I became chair of the North Fair Oaks Community Council, I created a door hanger. Just described myself, the role of the council, hey, come on out to a meeting, things like that. Probably dropped about 500 of those doors in like different areas, just kind of ringing the bell and saying, hey, here we are. If you want to get engaged, this is our community, this is how to do it. One that I don't have awful lot of experience in, but I think it's really important in our work is kind of education, and interpretive programs and things like that. And you talk about bringing the youth in and stuff and hooking them through education and understanding, you know, not just, okay, here's a park and it's beautiful, it's wonderful and stuff, but here are the creatures that live here, different kinds of trees. But it's kind of a whole ecosystem, having kids learn that over time.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Why I am here on this commission, I think first and foremost is to share my love of parks with the rest of the county. I spend a lot of time in them, given that I'm surrounded by them in Pescadero. And also to bring together the work that I've done in other parts of the county with sustainability and climate adaptation, and understanding how the parks are an asset to those goals and those efforts. In terms of values, yes to everything that my colleagues have already said. The values, some other ones that I came up with and that I try to bring to every meeting is respect for all voices and honoring the public comments we receive and the concerns of the public, and putting aside any personal agenda to hear what's going on. Related to that is openness and transparency, which is I want this room to feel like a very safe space for staff or anybody who's reporting to us to present the truth so that we can help them solve problems. So I don't ever want to feel like everybody's just painting rosy pictures because we're the commission, right? We should have, this should be a safe space to really tackle some issues. So transparency, and then kind of the value of kind of servant leadership, like understanding our role and working within our role and trusting everyone else to do their job, that we bring in other experts, we work with other commissions, and we were focused on returning to the community something of value. And I'm going to sneak another one in there, which is fun. I have strong value of having fun and joy in what we are doing.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. It was great to hear about your motivations, and also this is something to think about when you get into coming up with your priorities. Where are you coming from? Why are you here? So this is a great list of values. Clearly, we have some that multiple people said, some that only one person said, but are maybe related to other things. And so the way that I have used this exercise with groups, which I think has been effective, is coming up with kind of a boiled down list of some common values that you all have, and using that to help guide and prioritize your priorities. So looking at, once you start thinking about priorities, do they reflect your values? And can you measure the goals and the actions that you're taking through your values? So this is a great list. You want to come up with kind of the top guiding values for you all as a commission, and then again that can guide your priorities. That would be my suggestion, but not to leave any of these out, but really to have kind of some top overarching ones. Yeah,
I think when I look at this, I see some clear kind of groupings. There are groupings of values that have to do with what do we want our impact to be on the community, and then there are some groupings of values which are like, how do we want to operate as a commission? So I think whatever our final list is, I'd like to see both of those, and maybe there's even a third category that I'm not seeing, but I would like to see, make sure we're
Yeah,
covering all of that.
yeah. Yeah, so the impact ones would be,
Community accessibility,
Yeah.
sustainability, stewardship,
mhm,
equity.
Fun.
mhm.
What did you mean fun?
Fun.
For us or fun?
Yes, fun for us, definitely. Have to operate with in spirit of fun.
Gotta have fun too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
the most
so-
fun commission meetings
Impact.
in the counties.
Don't, we're not a dull commission at all.
This is impact. Yeah, and then operations is kind of how you do those things. Which is, I guess, many of the other ones through servant leadership.
Yeah.
Awareness
Respect
and education.
Reach, like I know summer is not too far from being the next exit, but you have coyote nights and you have the health
Yeah.
fair for the kids and you have, so I think being able to access that, but being able to have fun. I know the San Mateo Parks Foundation is always vocal when Michelle presents her
Yeah,
reports.
well, now you're getting into potential priorities, but outreach relates to these things and this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's kind of operations.
they all tie together.
Yeah, so this is more operations, so, yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it, so let me try to put this in a way that you can see it all, and I'm not erasing fun because it's gonna go away, I'm just gonna put it somewhere else, because I want the space. So the impact would be stewardship, sustainability, the access, right? And you said equity,
Equity,
Sure, yeah.
community access,
is it beneficial? That's what you want. Who is it benefiting?
equity,
Who is it benefiting?
and then the operations
Yes.
are many of the other things, right?
Mhm.
So objectivity, transparency. Respect for all voices. Economy and efficiency. And awareness and education, right?
Probably servant leadership too, huh?
Oh, servant leadership, and then I forgot fun. Where does that fit? I guess that's
Overarching.
yeah.
Yeah.
Engagement.
Everybody,
Yeah.
the goal overall.
Yeah, and actually I would put awareness under impact as well, in that we want awareness. We want to raise the
So the
awareness.
education of the park. Education is under operation.
Yeah.
How's that look? It's great look.
It's good. No bad, no bad.
Solid.
Good work. Wow, that was impressive. Okay. All right, so these are your values as a commission. You can consider in the future, is this something you want to revisit as you get new members or whatever, but this is, for this group, right now, these are your values. And as I said, you can use these to help guide your priorities, yeah. Awesome. All right. So, any other thoughts, comments? On this right now? Okay, so we are going to move into the next section, which is kind of the context setting for your goal setting effort. And so the purpose of this is to ground you in your purpose and role as commissioners. Understand the context of county funding and priorities, and to learn from what the commission has done in the last year. So I think, who is going to talk about, is it Hannah and Irma talking about the purpose and role of the commission?
Yeah, Irma, do you want me to,
Yeah, kick it off.
so we just, especially with the commissioners, we just wanted to give a little bit of, framing as well to help, lead into the work plan discussion and the potential areas of interest and priorities for this. First off, I just wanted to kind of overview the roles and responsibilities of the Parks Commission in terms of the specifics for how the commission was formed and the powers and duties that are set in ordinance that establish the commission. So primarily, the Parks Commission is an advisory body to the Board of Supervisors. And so I'm just going to read what's in the ordinance under powers and duties. It says the Parks and Recreation Commission shall advise and make policy recommendations to the Board of Supervisors regarding the management and operation of county natural preserves, marine reserves, open space areas, trails, parks, and/or recreation areas and facilities within unincorporated San Mateo County. The Parks and Recreation Commission shall adopt and forward to the Board of Supervisors recommendations regarding fees to be charged for the use of these areas. And the Commission shall advise the Board of Supervisors regarding fish, game, and wildlife policies and programs, and shall make recommendations to the Board regarding the expenditure of fish and game propagation funds. And then there are some details about how you conduct your business in terms of establishing a calendar, meeting with things. And then it also mentions that the commissioners would represent the supervisorial districts within which you decide. And so that's another aspect in terms of the, in alignment with the districts that each of your supervisors represent as well. And then we wanted to spend a little bit of time also just providing some overview of the county and department priority areas. Emma, did you want to go through those? I'm happy to cover that.
Yeah, I think I wanted to start off and just kind of say thank you for your guys' time and your leadership in almost 10 years, right? I heard today.
This is 9 today.
9 today, congratulations. I mean, you each bring a different perspective, arborist. I mean, each of you guys bring something so different. And I think that that's what the experiences and the connection that you have in your commitment is so valuable in this process as we start to look at it and begin to set those priorities as you guys begin to set those priorities for the next 6 to 18 months. I think and as an advisory, you're an advisory to the Board of Supervisors. I think that's important as you set your role and say, what advice, what are we going to bring to the Board of Supervisors? Really distinguishing an advisory to the board versus operational, right? Very different. And I think that those are guided by your values here as well. I think that you guys, as I was seeing some of the work that has been brought forward, there's a lot of great ideas. And I don't think it's lack of idea or priority, but really identifying it as saying, what are the key ones that we want to focus on and make the biggest impact in the next 18 months? You know, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, I don't know, that's a balance. I always walk away thinking, you know, I want to conquer the world, but what I really focusing on saying, where am I going to make the biggest value or make the biggest contribution? It's strategically kind of thinking about that. I think it's also being realistic. I think that's important. What can be done? within 18 months, kind of setting those and managing those expectations, what's realistic, achievable, and measurable. I think that's always important and very difficult for any commission. So I always like to always frame that as something that's important. For the Parks Department, I think generally we break it down into some kind of key priority areas. And those key priority areas is about maintaining and improving facilities and the infrastructure with really capital improvement projects. As well as some of this is mentioned, this also includes like the visitor services, interpretive programming, and kind of improving access and awareness and connection to the parks. As I've shared to those that know me, I think engaging in diverse communities is important. Making sure that we have and to continue to create spaces that are welcoming and that have accessible for all visitors, regardless of your background. I think it's another major area of our priorities falls into the natural resource management, which includes the habitat stewardship, wildfire mitigation, sustainability, climate resilience, and environmental protection. That's all another one area that's very important to us. And while the staff, with Scott and his team, will manage the day-to-day operations, the greatest value that I think this commission brings is going to be really your perspective within each of your areas, within each of your districts, and bringing that broader view, from the parks, the county parks. As you guys all know in your roles, county parks is very different than city parks. We're not a city park. And we don't operate that way. The uniqueness is that 16,000 acres and 250 miles of trails and the open space. But that's what makes parks so unique. But at the same time, I think it's important that parks, as we are often seen, and we are recreational spaces and a strong community asset for the community to support wellness, resilience, and really stewardship, public safety, and emergency access and improving quality of life. I think it's also important that parks be viewed as not just an amenity, but also be seen as part of the broader community infrastructure that ties to safety, resilience, and wellness. I think that sometimes is missed. And it sees it, parks, playground, but we're more than that. And that's where I think your voices, your perspective, your experience is so important and so valuable. And really looking at us continue to become a welcoming, accessible, and connected to community and diverse communities. Often, many of our communities don't have a place to go out and play, and really rely on our county parks for those experiences. And so continue to keep those places open. I also think that building awareness in the parks programs, outreach to underserved communities, language accessibility is key, and visitor experience is key for youth and family engagements, whether you're individual or group or play, whatever that may be, schools or families. Equity and accessibility is also very key to us as not just a physical space, but about building awareness, outreach, education, belonging, and again, making sure that everyone feels welcomed. We are a welcoming county, and every place, and we want to make our county executive really stands behind making sure we have a remarkable experience that includes our county parks, and we value that as well. As we continue to do this broader conversation about wildfire mitigation, and Hannah's overseeing a large amount of that, is really just making that is one of our key priority areas as well, and continue to play a role in that community resilience and environmental stewardship and public safety. But from a long-term sustainability, I think it's also important that the Parks Commission looks at this and they play a critical role in elevating that awareness, understanding our broader values of the park system, and more importantly, that we're just not a recreational space, we're much more than that. As we, in fire mitigation, we're developing emergency access roads when fires go down in the winter, when we have the storms, we're out there frontline. We are frontline first responders. The team is under Scott's leadership. And often, sometimes that's missed. And so as our system continues to grow, the broader community understands and supports the increased need of parks. I think it's an area that we could look to as priorities. These are just kind of some areas that we have used and we are prioritizing this park system. There's some uncertainty of funding, of course, but about the funding comes about building awareness and educating our own internally, and that's where you look to within your districts and your community members to make that connection, that tie, increase community engagement. As we start to move, as you start to move and set those priorities, but also reassuring that the park system, we heavily rely on some Measure K dollars, but also seeing more than just a park and an amenity. But we're really seeing as a public safety and a service that really supports the broader community and the broader county vision. And so that's just something I thought that I wanted to kind of bring back and kind of help guide some of your direction as you set priorities.
No, I think you probably could.
Bring it back to you, Debbie.
Great. Hannah, did you want to add anything about what you're working on? Okay.
No, I think that covered everything.
Okay. Any questions for Emma or Hannah before we get into the prior year accomplishments?
Emma, do you feel or see, in your day-to-day experience any conflicts of all those items where you say, we just, sometimes operations goes first, whereas we would like to allocate time and resources to, for example, sustainability.
Yeah.
Is there some these conflicts, and how would you resolve those? What takes priority and why?
Public safety will always take priority. And we have to look at that and make sure that we have safe trails, safe place for people to come. By far, that will always be a priority for our park system. And when we start to look at how do you prioritize futures, looking at future capital improvement projects, many of them are coming to an end, but some are wrapping up. But really shifting is how do those align with the priorities that we're setting to improve access, improve accessibility, equity, access, et cetera. And maybe that means that we look to say from pavement, maybe we have to reshift and maybe put that off until July because we have another emergency that comes up. And so it will always be a priority for public safety first, followed by, which includes emergency access, which includes fire mitigation, which includes, but we took so much work in planning and preparing for that. So we're a natural resource team that we're now in a place of some of maintenance. The team out there is really preparing in advance. They're out there cutting right now to prepare for the fire, prevention.
Yep.
And that comes with good stewardship that currently happens under the leadership of Scott and Hannah and Evan. It really is that planning ahead, preparing. Can we prepare for everything? Absolutely not. But are we prepared? Yes. Stand confident. Did I miss anything, Scott?
No, that was good.
Anything you'd like?
I'd like to, if I may, through the chair, and to table in this, just to echo what my fellow commissioner was saying. You came on this commission, you probably had a buffet of things and a plethora of things coming from a senior leadership of San Mateo County already. So you dove into yet another task and dove into yet another project that you're probably passionate. And public safety is probably or should be at the top of the list because you have a lot of people visiting parks. You don't want any natural tragedies happening in our parks, and you have a lot of children, you have a lot of adults, you have a lot of families. I would also think that engagement should be in that, like the little eye drop. The first eye drop that you put in your eye is public safety. That is number one. Probably number two would be engagement and the cost that's putting in, and you mentioned that. Public safety and people's lives will always be number one and should be number one on everyone's list. How do we keep our parks safe? How do we keep our kids safe? How do we keep our families safe? How do we keep our employees safe? Got that, number one. But to correlate that, let's also see how we can engage. And I'm not trying to call you on it.
No.
I'm just saying you came into this, just like roll up your sleeves. I'm diving right into parks, and I've already been 35 years or plus as you have in the county doing several things that kind of all tie into leadership. What do you think you're going to get out of, or thus far, how parks has been? That you've sort of the reception of it, being receptive to it. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you firsthand, as I come in and engagement is my background. I shared that with you before, and that is number one priority for me. For those that have known me, that is important to me. What have I seen thus far where in my role here is, certainly we have some areas of strength. I mean, and we also have some gaps. Those are certainly coming up as I see here, whether it's a capital improvement project where we're spending some time and we've done this and we're like, wait a minute, is that the right decision? Maybe stop. And as much as our team could go out and fix almost anything, sometimes it's about a pause. I'm a person about pause, and is that the right way to do it? And is that most cost effective?
We see that, we appreciate it. Maybe, you know what? Maybe this is something we had to hear. Maybe this is something that we know, okay, moving forward and with all these projects coming, what are our priorities? Are we going too fast? Can we say, hey, coaches, time out? It's just, I know you can get any gizmo and get any, Scott's staff and everyone has the best people, but there's time that we gotta, create and measure for ourselves.
Well, and that's something that as a person coming in, is I'm able to do that evaluation.
You're already like that.
I'm already looking and saying, first you get acquainted, you get to see, but then sometimes it's just, let's pause, let's look, let's bring in an expert in and tell me, is this the right path? We may very much end in the same area, but we have the consultant that will tell us, the engineer, the person that has the direct skills that will tell us, why isn't that bathroom working? And then hold that contractor accountable. Because it's not a cost effective for me to do this. It's not a cost effective for our parks, although they'll go and they'll dump the water every week. That's not a efficient use of their time. And so I also have to, as a leader, I have to make sure that the staff are are positioned and ready, but also that we're putting our money where it counts. And so that is quickly something I'm able to, given my experience with the county, I'm able to and tap into where we can. So as we're looking at another project, we say, oh, we got to reduce the budget. Wait a minute, I could tap into this department because they have some funding to do that. Let's have sustainability cover that cost. That reduces cost to here. That's what I bring to the table, and that's what I'm able to make those connections. Did that answer your question?
No, I mean, I was expecting that already, but it's
you were
just
testing me. You were
it's just something that it's like it's a nice music to our ears. It's something that we want to hear because we know where the department is headed.
Yeah, well, and I'll be very honest. I will present to you. Maybe not everything's not going to be in a red bow. And I haven't presented the red bow to the group either, nor to my predecessor. Sometimes it's, why we do that? And that's what, I'm a person that asks a lot of questions. And I'll ask questions because I need to understand it. But it also allows us to reconsider, reevaluate, and say, is that the right decision? And maybe it was absolutely the right decision 10 years ago. Absolutely. But today is a different environment and it may not be the right decision. And just because we agreed to it 10 years ago doesn't mean we have to agree to it. And so those are the things that I will continue as a leader, bring to this group and to the department.
Any other?
Yeah, so that's it, actually a good lead in. And because I'm gonna lay it out there, you alluded to it, But it's important for us to understand as we go forward and setting our priorities. What are your big worries this year? I know funding is one, so let's just talk about that. Are there any other big worries?
You know, my big worry would be like what keeps me up. It's gonna be is the same question I would come and ask my team. What keeps you up at night? And what keeps me up at night is really one of the things that initially, and it continues to be, is strengthening our team. And culturally. It's creating those synergies because you have to have a wellness within your team to be able to accomplish the amount of work that they do. Also, what keeps me up is, of course, you alluded to, the funding, the capital improvement projects. And then what's nice to have, or what we need to have, we have a very old infrastructure. The parks has a very old infrastructure. So we could put a lot of cosmetic, it's like getting Botox. I'm gonna use some of your analogies, Sam. I could get Botox, but there's a lot of stuff behind the Botox that we haven't fixed. I need to get to underneath the skin, right? I need to bring it back up. So if I wanna look youthful, it can't just be for the Botox. And so I have to acknowledge that we have an old infrastructure and those need to be addressed. We have some projects that perhaps didn't go the right direction. And we're fixing them. We're going back and saying, what is a better fix for this? Because it's not a good use of our staff time. And so those are probably the things that if I wanna be honest. Probably Hannah might have some other stuff. Those are the stuff that keep me up. And of course, trying to respond to customer concerns or client resident concerns, making sure that we are prepared for, the fire season and staying aligned, are we prepared for even, I was on a call earlier this week and sit on the work group for, as we're gonna open up Tornitas and any prevention, drowning prevention, that keeps me up. Do we have the right mechanisms? Do we have the right resources in place? What does that look like? What's the impact? And yet 75% of those that are drowning are out of our county. So how do you build awareness, not within our county, but external? And how do you collaborate with other city organizations as well as other county municipalities? So that also is, I think that's an area that we probably will be, that is certainly an area that I have asked the team to build and strengthen relationships across different county municipalities. Not city, we're good at it, it's the county, and reviving those relationships more formally.
Do you feel the old infrastructure is holding back on, for example, engagement and awareness?
We have 3 million visitors that come, and it's still increasing. So it's not lack of visitors. Visitors are there. Maybe the balance. So that's the old infrastructure.
Yep.
But nobody knows that behind the scenes what the crew is doing.
No.
The crew's back there, doing their own work, and they don't know about that because it seamlessly happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's when I talk about the old infrastructure is making sure that we address that, making sure that we're putting in some, and we are doing it now. Like we're putting the new restaurant in that Blood Park, making sure it's elevating, giving us the right slope that we need. Those are things that say about including that or making it more accessible and inclusive.
Yeah.
I think inclusive is one.
So it's super helpful for the commission to hear about your priorities. As you said, a lot of those are operational. Their role is advisory. You mentioned engagement. Like, are there other things, other areas that you can think of where the commission could really be valuable?
When I you asked, I think Sam, even or something, what did I see as the potential gap? Is that engagement? We do a lot of engagement through the interpretive services, and they're doing a wonderful job. But do I see multilingual? Probably not. Do I see diverse languages? We have a 25% Latino community who access our parks, but yet nothing's in Spanish, are very limited. And so that is something, an area that definitely is building the awareness, multilingual, multi-language. When we were doing and I didn't get a chance to for example, we just did our Coyote Point survey. You know, one of the things I told the team, I wanted to see and exceed the goal from last year or from previous surveys. And it was probably an ambitious, especially coming in. We exceeded it by 95% increase engagement rate. But then it didn't just stop there. I said, we got to get the community. I want to hear the voices from those that use it, that are on the floor, on the ground, the neighborhood. So we contracted out and got two providers to also, generate those voices. So yes, community engagement in the user is important. And that's definitely, but it's about building that awareness, bringing the diverse communities in, use it, it's safe, come to our parks, you will visit it. And if you don't have a good experience, I want to hear about it because I want to improve it. That's important to me. So that we can make any improvements, modifications. Not everybody will have the best experience, but my goal is to make it that everybody has the best experience possible. That's our goal. Anything to about him?
I think, kind of just as it relates to engagement and just thinking about what's important and where that might intersect with the commission is, responsiveness. It is very much tied to it, engagement, but, and I think about, what's a priority for us is being able to make sure, like all of these things tie into visitors having a remarkable experience in our parks and good experience. And that, when we are either planning projects or hearing feedback from the public, being taken into account in our decision making. And I think with the commission, you all have an opportunity to help get input for that information as well, in terms of, the activities that you're thinking about for your work plans, and those areas of interest for your work, and those types of policies or priorities or programs that you see value, advising the board on when it comes to parks operation programs that could be. And so I think that ties in with what Emma was saying, our overarching priorities for how we manage our facilities Infrastructure, provide visitor services, but I think ultimately, for the commission, helping to be another conduit for community input, community engagement. I see that as a way that we have alignment in that.
Brooks, you're in an area represent North Fair Oaks that is predominantly Latino community, right? And those voices are sometimes not even heard. So it's having all voices up there. Because you're gonna get my voice, you're gonna get my neighbor's voice, but are you gonna get my Palatero voice? I don't know. Are you gonna get my, the tamale lady? I don't know. Carmelita? I don't know. But we want to make sure we get all voices. And that's the role you each play, because you bring back from your community. You are the delivery of the message. You are, kind of our point, So we look to you too, and you to bring that feedback to us to say how we can improve the experiences as well.
And I could say also for the infrastructure, it's very important for us to, as Emma has spoken to already, to educate you about what time frame capital projects takes, planning process, design process. We continually reassess ourselves on what worked, what didn't work, because we want to do a better job all the time. But just simple things like a new restroom is not something you snap your fingers for. It's going to take you a year to get it. Okay, and that's good for you to understand that information, because when your community asks you, hey, you will know that's a project we would love to do, but we can only put so many in the pipeline, and they take time.
Well, and one of the things that Scott had brought recently, is the equestrian experience. We have the whole horse camp that people want, and so you have to. Where do you balance? What can we offer? What can we do? Where's the funding? Where's the budget? We'd love to do it. So those are all the difficult choices that we have to make, as well as kind of balance with what commitments we have in place. So we never say no, you know, just what else can we do? Where do we have some flexibility? So those are the kind of the different things, the uniqueness of park, right? You know, horse camp, uniqueness, camping, trails, park. It's, you know, there's just so many things that fall under it.
There's a lot of external things that can change priorities quickly. If we have a bad fire season, everything shifts.
Yeah.
So we have all this pre-planning, but a lot of times we have to set it aside because it changes.
You mentioned the research that was done and the community feedback that you collected and stuff. I think I know the answer to this question. But is there any kind of a breakdown
Yes.
of that
By district, not by
districts?
not by district, but we were able to do how many are, you know, regional. Of course, that's a big, you know, one of our biggest parks. So we were able to get the regional perspective, but also the in-person hand surveys that were done by like our homework club, Alconcita, the way around the neighborhood. So we wanted to make sure we got some, and then actually what they some because they use it from a regional perspective. That park is used as a, you know, so no, not by site.
Yeah.
We try to keep that.
That would be sweet. I wanted to ask one more thing too. And maybe this is asking you to be a little selfish for a moment. But if you look at your goals and objectives, what's the one goal or objective that the commission can provide the greatest assistance to you? And when I say assistance, I mean, how can we help you get what you need from Nicholas, Mike, or we're working on this, and it's like, let's build Emma's needs into what we're gonna work on.
And I appreciate that.
Sure.
And I'll hold it into, I think it's a kind of a two-part. It's building awareness
Okay.
and really looking at the parks outside of an amenity, but public safety that we're seeing when we're thinking of, oh, we need to put money towards disaster preparedness. Hello, that's us.
Yeah.
And the value that parks brings, because, you know, often it's seen as a recreational space. So recreational space are, you know, nice to have. And so when we're looking at budget cuts, that sometimes is one of the first to go. And our look to say, you know, and it's difficult for the board of supervisors to say, do I pick homeless and how do I pick the parks, right? But it's not just parks. And so it's about your role, and I hate to use the word, I mean, advocate, but your role of building awareness and the importance of the park system. And that's where your voices, your community voices, all that leads up. So that's all about building awareness. Thank you for asking.
Sure.
Thanks for that question and for that. I must have tried to commission that up there. So we took a little more time than we had planned on this, but
Sorry.
it was no, it was super valuable for you all to hear from Emma, especially as, you know, being new in her position, coming with fresh eyes and all the experience that she has throughout the county. So we're gonna move back in time a little bit and hear from Irma about some of the accomplishments and lessons learned, and we can have a brief discussion of that, again, to inform your priorities. What did you do? What worked? And what can you learn for setting priorities?
Yeah, and especially for the benefit of our two new commissioners, like how did we get to this point? But I just want to back up really briefly. Last week, is it over last week? Maybe it was the week. I can't remember. A large contingent went to the state budget assembly subcommittee meeting. And out of the 60 speakers, I was the only one who talked about cuts to the parks budget. Yay! So I was there.
Thank you.
So what we did, again, to put this together at the beginning of last year, was we talked to the staff about what are their priorities and what we could do to support some of their work. You know, we were a smaller commission, and given that we knew we were going to have only a few meetings a year, our framework was pretty small. So that's why we've extended this plan that we're doing now for 18 months, so we can actually get maybe a little farther down the road. So I think the first thing that what we did is really look at what each commissioner really felt they wanted to champion, because that's the first thing, right? It is, we want to make sure it's interesting for us all to work on. And the second thing is what we could actually do. So working on partnerships and connections, we reached out to several different groups and brought them into commission meetings and learned about not only their work, but how that currently aligns with what the Parks Department does, and maybe how we could again explore future partnerships with them to and support those partnerships to again leverage the capacity of the teams that we have. On Coyote Point, we kind of just again we served as the kind of the champions of that effort, making sure that we were just kind of cheering that along. There wasn't a lot of active things that we could do except to be aware of it and to make sure that we supported the staff and the work they were doing. On the fishing game fund oversight, we had the previous year formalized a program to accept applications for this fund, which is gathered from basically poaching fines and other fishing game infringements. And it's meant to be dispersed. So we kind of formalized the process for dispersing as much of the funds as we felt comfortable, because part of it is we want to keep it for emergency, like emergency habitat restoration or emergency wildlife medical care. But we dispersed a great deal of it. And so we spent last year kind of hearing from the recipients of those awards and learning about how it impacted their work. Was it valuable? Was it a process we should do again? And I thought that was very helpful, because it gave us some insight into again the wider value of parks, impacting education programs, lots of habitat restoration, and community education. And we, in terms of budget policy and performance, we were able to. We didn't directly address the parks, the board of supervisors, but we did send a few letters to them, just kind of recommending or supporting recommendations of the Parks Department. So in total, I think we made more of an effort last year to be more systematized about the work we do, and where I think we have an opportunity to do more this year is to really think about how do we leverage our capacity, how do we develop some parameters for us to decide what policy recommendations we want to advance. And then the final thing, if you look at our role, our purpose, based on the resolution and our guidance from the Board of Supervisors, it really is a fiscal responsibility. Right? It really is. I'm making sure we are understanding the Parks Department budget, how it's funded, how these other programs are funded, where we can leverage funding, and making sure that we are making the best use of every dollar that we get. That's our responsibility to our supervisors and our communities, as well as our responsibilities to preserving the parks. I think that, yeah, so other comments from Sam or Rose, since you were with us through most of that journey? I would say in terms of personally areas of improvement, I would love to find a better way to engage the community and address community comments. We take them comments, and that's how we've developed our list of items for future agenda. But I'm wondering if there's a better way that we can look at those topics and tackle them. I want to again look at what county policies can we influence and how do we shape that work. And I think another question I have for us is, do we focus on things that are parallel or that are supportive, that are aligned with the staff's priorities, or that are same as the staff priorities, or do we work on something that's complementary? Something else, right?
And with a better way to engage community, commission of parks or both?
Through the commission,
Through the commission.
yeah,
Oh, you mean like, so how people can reach us?
yes, like, how do we encourage them to participate in the meetings or send us comments before the meeting so that we can? Do we encourage them, do we consider doing more work in subcommittees so that we can have citizens serve on those subcommittees and engage in that way? So I think there's some things that we can explore based on whatever our priorities are. It might be, that would be an improvement. We operated very lean for the last couple of years. I'd love to see us expand that.
And it could be something like what I think Brooks has done in the past. Brooks, if you don't mind, under when he was chair of Brooks, he would really strongly encourage the commissioners or the council to, be out in the community. So if there was an event, they would have a table or just represent themselves. And so people knew who they were, or he talked about putting out I know you do that on your own, but something out. Again, it's just building the awareness. What is park commission? Why would I come to you? What is, who do you represent, or how do we access you?
Yeah, so is one of our roles really as being the ambassadors across. And I think that we all do that already, kind of informally, but maybe we want to think about how we make it more formal.
It's also to the chair, that's what I meant by accountability, is when when you're on a commission, like I was thought in years past and even pondered, planning commission, juvenile justice, I've got to know about those subjects before I dive in and say, I'm signing up, I want to be a commissioner for San Mateo County for planning or for juvenile justice. I can't just play make believe and just go off pure guessing and assumption. I gotta at least know something about, like, for me being on parks, I had to know stuff. I had to research, know what parks, how many parks, what it is they do, what's planning about, where the money comes from, who visits. All of those were important for me, because when we are engaging in like a county commissioner and other commissioners and party engagements, and you have youth, you have elders, you have department leaders, you can at least tell them what it is parks means and what it stands for. Not just, I think it's pretty and they got nice views, and know a little bit about finance and funding and where money and resources and who visits and disasters and what happens if this happens and what happens if that happens. Know a little bit, like a little bite here, a little bite there, a little bite there, and go a little in depth, just so you don't look like you're just a deer in the headlights.
Well, thank you for that reflection. Any Royces, you want to add anything? Yes, no, okay. All right, so thank you for the kind of reflection on what you did and some of the learnings. So
sorry, I wanted to, I'm not to interject, I wanted to maybe add one more thing about learnings. It goes back a little more than a year, but like it's maybe connecting back to the mission of and the purpose of the Parks Commission. One of those items is making recommendations to the board on the expenditures of fish and game propagation funds. And late in 2024, this goes back a little bit longer, but the commission, I think Irma, you in particular, worked really hard to stand up guidelines by which the recommendations were going to be made. You had to come up with the whole process, went through that whole thing, and I think late 2024 is when you eventually made a recommendation to the board on those expenditures. I imagine that's going to be coming back around again now that we're into 2026. I don't know where that fund stands now, but like I know that when we were having some of those recipients come back in, you were asking each one of them, what can we take from this? What can we learn from this process? I think mostly you got good feedback, but in terms of learning, I think about that a lot. I thought that was a really excellent process that you went through. We'll be coming back around again, I think, relatively soon.
So it's a success story.
It's a success story. It's also one of the express sort of purposes and missions
Okay.
of the commission, is to make that
Okay, and just so I understand, and everyone else, it's not an annual allocation, it's just kind of when it comes up.
That was part of what the commission talked about, was I think implementing a process that was maybe gonna be every other.
Yeah, it was every other year.
And
It's
it
a
will-
year.
There will be some dependence on how much like revenue comes in from the fines collected. How much funding there is available to distribute through grants. So we'll have to have that fund is going,
Right.
you know.
We,
And in an ideal world, it's not generating a lot of revenue. People are following the law. But yeah, that's part of it.
It is one of these sort of unique things that is actually in the ordinance and in that.
I know,
Okay.
we have very little power, but that's one thing we can.
Yeah. Okay, great, thank you.
I think for others to know that I think Anna was asking what would that amount for you getting?
Yeah, so when we went through the process, but that had been quite some time this funds had been built up. So it was around $60,000 that was distributed. I don't know that same amount would renew within 2 years. It might be only like 10, 15.
Right,
Not- not
figured
quite.
out that it should only really be about
Yeah.
10.
So I just want to level set, it was a small amount, but still important. You did a lot of work.
Well, I think part of the whole process contemplated that a couple of years, we're gonna take a look and see where that balance was. And maybe you'll decide that it's not right yet to make another recommendation, because you want to wait for there to be some, see if there are more, but I do think, mostly I bring it up because I thought that you did a really smart thing of asking all of those folks when they came back in, what lessons did you learn from this? Trying to, the idea of implementing changes as that was appropriate.
All right, well, thank you. So now we're gonna move into the actual start of priority setting. And so the way that we're gonna do this, I'm gonna ask you to do some individual brainstorming for a few minutes. And then we'll come back as a group, kind of report out on what you came up with and ask questions about those ideas and see where we land. And I wanna preface this with kind of a discussion on SMART goals. I think probably most of you know what that is. I believe, if I'm remembering it correctly, so SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So we don't want to just have a goal of community engagement, like what does that really mean? We want a goal that is outcome-oriented and then meets all those criteria. Now, you don't have to come up with all of those right now. You can come up with kind of the general goal and what an outcome might look like. And then you'll have time later, possibly in subcommittees outside of the meeting or at your next meeting, to really hone in on what that is and what the specific actions are. But I think for today, our goal is really to identify a small number of goals or priorities for you all, like 2 to 3, that you really want to focus on, and then we'll kind of flesh those out in the coming month or so. So I'm going to give you some big Post-its, and like medium-sized Post-its, I guess, and some markers for you all to write down some fun.
You can draw pictures.
Yeah,
It's fine.
thank you.
And doodle.
The dictionary?
Yeah, but you have to explain it. We're not going to ask you to that's what it is.
3 words.
So yeah, use as many words as you need on these Post-its. More Post-its, I will give you more. And we'll just take 5 or 10 minutes to do this.
Sorry, can you tell me one more time what the?
So this is thank you. So reflecting on the conversation that we've had thinking about what worked in the last work plan, what you've heard from Emma and Hannah about the parks priorities, and then also reflecting on your values. What are 2 to 3 priorities or goals that you would like to see the commission focus on? And try to have it be like an outcome oriented goal. Like I said, it's not just engagement, but like what is the outcome? What would you like to see from that engagement?
Wonderful.
Another minute. See, two of you are still writing. Are you okay with putting that? Yeah. All right. So we're gonna hear one idea at a time, what you all came up with. And so this is a brainstorm, so we're not evaluating at this point. We want to get all ideas up there and then we can talk about it. So we'll just present one idea at a time. So who would like to share the first idea? Start, okay.
Because this is kind of a goal that we had last year and we didn't get to. Is that investigate how we can improve public transit that is connected to parks. I made it specific at first by saying all parks should be served by at least one public transit option. But that's pretty broad. That's pretty lofty goal. So most parks should be served at least one public transit option.
Okay, so we'll keep that up and then we can talk about these later. Great. So it's, and I see you put the value area around there too, so. Thank you. Sam?
I guess this is gonna be a one A and one B. Reach out to elementary or schools in the area and plan for a school field trip to one of our county parks with the approval of county leadership. Another one was maybe that's tied into it for us here is to plan like a retreat of commissioners or have a field trip as commissioners and selecting a park and visiting that park.
Okay.
And I know we have something each month at tables. Did you visit a park? Did you do something like that? So, and I got something also that's all kind of connected. Engage and celebrate with county during kickoffs or ribbon cutting, if applicable, and have all commissioners surrounding parks leadership to say, hey, we care, we really enjoy, and we're looking forward to seeing this like if it's Tanitas, we're loving to see that flood park, we're loving to see all that. So I think we're doing that, but it's like being visible.
So this is about awareness and accessibility.
Correct.
Okay, great. So somewhat related to this one, different activities. Great, thank you. Okay, who else would like to share an idea?
This kind of falls under partnerships and working with other agencies. Stealing from the best in a way. Working with them, so have them come in, have a presentation, dialogue with us, figure out how they drive awareness. Sources like that. Right? Together a list of probably 30 different agencies that we can work with, and how do they collect the resources in that.
Okay.
And then kind of a corollary to that is working with those agencies to raise mutual awareness through joint marketing, links on their websites, things like that. So it's like we're in that corner there, Mateo kind of parks, if somebody's looking at Midtown or Poster, a city park and rec department, no matter what, did you know that these things are.
Okay.
And I guess the measure would be kind of the numbers of ideas that we quote unquote leverage from other agencies and the number of kind of shared marketing projects.
So it's like increasing awareness through partnerships.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I forgot to acknowledge, I know a couple of you have put together, had really put some thought into this and put together some write-ups, and so those were distributed to everyone, so thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so this is awareness and partnerships. Great, thank you.
I had a bit the same. I originally called it educate, but I think it's better to call it collaborate. Pretty much, so it's a better understanding, improving our understanding, the value of the parks, environmental aspects through invitation of organizations, NGOs, small businesses, maybe other commissions as well, to really get that engagement and just improve and collaborate with them, because I think otherwise we might be just working on a little bit of vacuums. Items.
Great, so collaboration and new partnerships.
Yeah, I think my ideas are maybe a little too granular here, but like, you know, I'm
Okay.
taking a look at the sheet that you guys have and it says, you know, kind of exploring corporate stewardship programs, which kind of made a lot of sense to me because I feel like the fiscal situation is kind of always strained, so you gotta find the money from somewhere else, right? So I guess just like exploration, you know, not telling them what to do, but just an exploration of a corporate stewardship program, where you guys can basically like, have a corporate entity can sponsor it. And that's one way where you can actually, you know, get the community engaged and hopefully they won't want, anything too unreasonable in return. So yeah, there's that, and I think that kind of goes under stewardship and collaboration, community building.
Yeah, related to that, and related to awareness and accessibility as well, for
Sure.
getting more people out there. Great. So this is more like a tactic to doing some of these things. That's great. Thank you. Other ideas?
Another one with regard to raising awareness and collecting feedback. And I know we have some signage at the parks right now. What I haven't seen is well, a couple of things, just the general consistency and things like that, and also the ability for people to provide feedback. So what I was thinking was we could create what I'm calling information stations at each park. As you enter each park, includes a map of the park system. Okay, you're in Flood Park. Did you know? And what the other 17, 18, whatever parks we've got, English and Spanish and other. I mean, to not have Spanish on any signage we have, it's ridiculous. But,
I didn't say that they didn't have it on every none, but I just, let my disclaimer be that it's not none.
but
Maybe not every.
it needs to be consistent. I think from the local history in there, I mean, where are the indigenous? It's where the parks are. You know, get people thinking and stimulated a little bit. And then feedback cards, where people can suggest improvements. Here's where the money comes in. They're either business reply cards that people take, mail back, or we have a Dropbox, which obviously requires collection and that kind of thing. And the measure would be just the number of cards, the number of ideas.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So awareness and education. Okay. Okay. Other ideas?
Well, I had one that's kind of related to what I think we've already ideas, but in terms of increasing our representation out in the community, but also looking on the other side, being as community ambassadors, but also being ambassadors to the Board of Supervisors, and maybe talking more with our individual supervisors on a regular basis about their priorities and sharing some of the successes that we're hearing with them directly to reinforce the value of the parks.
So yeah, education and awareness.
Yeah. So it says community ambassador events, but it might be maybe it's supervisory, being liaisons to the supervisors.
Okay.
Increasing that.
We do now have quarterly calls with District 2 supervisor. So
You do, that's great.
yeah, she sent us
That's
with
amazing.
all
With all the commissioners?
Yes,
Wow.
That's amazing.
yeah, we just had one 2 weeks ago or something. So
That's Noel.
it's really cool.
Wow.
Is that Noelia?
No,
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think that happens across the.
Yeah.
the other districts.
That's great.
I was surprised that it doesn't happen. I mean.
Yeah. Okay, let's get the other ideas out there.
Okay, and community building, start off with stewardship, but I think kind of to be involved into community building, I think of just the multi-purpose, multicultural, multi-purpose, multi-age events that we can draw people in. I think that ties back into awareness, education as well. I think it's just not just singular events, you know what I mean? But not just, oh, well, this is for, Spanish community, this is for the Latin community, this is for the Asian community. It feels exclusive, but bring it all together, instead. And I think that really can improve the engagement as well in person.
Great, okay. Thank you. All right, so this is around community building and accessibility related to that, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we have?
Entertain the idea of having guest speakers focusing on a subject area of interest that's relevant to this commission.
Okay, for you all, yeah. So that's for your, yeah, educating you. Great, okay. And then you have a little editorial comment on the top there.
But my own personal, let's find a better place like this place to meet on a monthly.
Okay, we'll hold that thought. We don't want to lose that.
I'm already looking.
I like the outdoor road trips. This would be golden every month. At least 9 times.
Okay. One more idea?
All right, yeah. Mine was basically kind of went back to the financial strain, but collaboration with other departments that are in the county of San Mateo, or possibly collaboration with I guess just adjacent landowners, to kind of have just bring those communities together, because there's some people who, go on mid-pen land all the time and they're always on the trail, but they don't know that, there's San Mateo County land right nearby. So maybe, projects that can either, show the wild and fire mitigation efforts, and kind of showing like, hey, this is where boundaries cross when people are working together, or trails connect, something along those lines. And then the measurable, I guess, goal there would just kind of be one event or project.
Okay, so this is like partnerships and awareness.
Yeah.
Together. Okay, great. These are all overlapping. I'm struggling with how to put them up here. They're great. All right, I think we have a couple left.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of also dovetails in that we, in order to increase our understanding of all the other parks, the city types operations or operations, if we had also floated the idea of one point of having a county and city parks to summit of commissioners, or just kind of to leverage those ideas and talk about how we can collaborate. To leverage both the capacity and resources or awareness campaigns. And that would also help us be better stewards of better enact our fiscal responsibilities to the, it's hard to evaluate our budgets if we don't know what everybody else is doing or stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
getting a little more insight into other.
Okay, so that's related. Okay, and then is that it? Or you have one more?
I'll save that one.
You don't have to.
No, it's all right.
Okay. All right, so let's see. We have a bunch that are related. And I know you can't read them from there. But it looked like we were talking about accessibility, and kind of accessibility and education for others, raising awareness. Maybe those are related. I think these are all kind of related. Collaboration, for education, but also for financial efficiency, partnerships, collaboration. So yeah, I'm hearing kind of accessibility, awareness, education, partnerships. So you hit a lot of your values in terms of impact. We are just, we have 5 minutes left. So I'm just gonna open it up right now to any kind of comments, observations on how far we've gotten so far.
These are all like great ideas. Are they, I guess, meeting the needs of what the department is looking for is like my first question. Cause I know that they certainly like can when you look at it from any perspective, but is this like meeting the priority for his of like what the department's trying to accomplish?
Yeah, great question. Is that something you can answer in like 2 minutes?
Well, I think what I hope with this discussion is that we would be able to get an idea of some of these initial priorities, and that could help us come back to the department to come back for the next meeting and figure out where there's alignment within our work or our priorities, and we can try and refine that more the next discussion.
Yeah. Okay, so great, figure out alignment, kind of have park staff look at this and figure out alignment over next priorities.
It's definitely areas of alignment and areas new.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
I'm excited about some of those areas where I could see your influence being very helpful, that you guys have already talked about. And it was great to hear.
No, I'm with the limited time left, I tend to think there won't be any, but you might want to call for public comment on this. Because that might also inform stuff here.
And yes, before we call for public comment, the other thing I would like to add for next meeting is I would like to at least invite representatives from each supervisor's staff to come to also give us their feedback on
That'd be great.
what the priorities are. I mean, and even if they don't have any comment, they will at least understand where we're coming from.
Can you have all districts?
Can we have, if they're
It
legislative
wouldn't be
committees,
the commission, the supervisors.
Right.
Staff. Just, that doesn't raise brown eye.
Yeah. And then what I would do is write these up, and I think we've come up with maybe some categories that fit in, so I could try to put them into those categories, and then you could, share it with you, and you all can discuss that further. I think also, we've talked a little bit about goals, and we've talked a little bit about tactics, so I also could help you identify which are the goals and which are kind of the tactics. So that might help. Okay, so write up or categorize goals.
okay, with our 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and call for any public comment, if anyone is online.
We have no speaker slips and no hands raised.
Thank you.
Well,
Goal somewhere.
I think you guys did a great job coming up with some common values and then really using those values to think about your priorities. It seems like there is some alignment among what you came up with, and we have some clear next steps. I can't remember, do we have an actual timeline? I think we came up with a timeline. I don't have it in my head.
So our next meeting is
June 4th.
June
June
4th.
4th, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we made pretty good progress. I don't feel like we might need to call a special meeting in between them. But June 4th is here. I mean,
Correct.
on campus, not on site.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So
In this room.
it's
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I just would say, great work. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, I live in San Mateo. I go to many of the county parks. I worked for, I think maybe I said this last time, I worked for 19 years for the Environmental Protection Agency. I love being outdoors, hiking, biking, running, all of that. And so I really appreciate the work that you do to support the parks. And my values are in alignment with yours, which is always nice. Thank you.
Through the chair, there was just 2 items, I just want to call them out.
The agenda.
Right, let's finish the agenda. Any commissioner updates? I'll kind of give my really quick one, which was, yes, we went to the Senate or the Assembly subcommittee meeting, oh, we have the Ohlone Patrol.
Yes.
Monument unveiling at Crystal Springs, which was lovely. I definitely encourage you all to stop and right at the entrance to Crystal Springs, beautiful, huge granite that came from Yosemite, and it has a beautiful plaque honoring the I'm going to say this right, Ohlone Portola Heritage Trail. Yeah, and you should see it's very. And then we have another unveiling coming up next week. Next Wednesday.
May 13th, at 11 a.m. You should have all received the invitation.
San Bernardino Mountain.
How early?
11 a.m.
Okay.
11 a.m. Oh. I hope I can make it, my car might be.
Okay, any other commissioner updates? Any public comment on commissioner updates?
No speaker slips and no hands raised in Zoom.
Our items for future agenda will be adjusted once we've set our work plan. So hopefully with our work plan priorities, we'll be able to incorporate these items, and we can move through them for the remainder of the year as well. So if there's no further public comment or commissioner comment, I will move to adjourn.
All right.